Africa, okay, Africa, and then Latin America was part of the big, huge land. This is India, and Madagascar and Sri Lanka is here, and of course Australia is right here. Australia is here, and then you got the Antarctica, okay. This was used in the ancient time. Was supposed to be they call it Gondwana, okay. But previously was another piece of land which is like much bigger. It's called Penjo, okay. And during the process of breakage, and this breakup of this land was due to the tectonic movements, okay. So you have plate tectonics that came in about nearly 50 years ago, okay. This idea was coined by a scientist by the name of Werner, and this guy was a Danish guy who was mapping in the northern part of Greenland, you know, and then he looked at a piece of land and said, hey, come on, this guy looks like, the land's always like jigsaw puzzle. And that's how he came up with the idea of land, continental drift in the first place. First thing was continental drift, okay? The drift, okay? And based on the land, that you can piece them together like jigsaw puzzle. And from there, the idea just keep developing. But then early days, when 50 years ago, people would say, you know, crazy guys, you know, what are you trying to talk, you know? Such a huge piece of land, Africa, Latin America, how can they move, you know? It's impossible, you know. So then, of course, Professor is by the name of, he's an English chap, so I cannot remember offhand, just pulling out from my head. So actually he came up with this idea, and then actually India moved northeast, okay, he went northeast. And he collided with the land. This is Laura Asia plate. Okay, so in the process of India collision, it created huge mountains we call it Himalaya mountain range. And the stretch between that stretch of Himalaya mountains actually about 4,000 kilometers, 4 to 5,000 kilometers across from Iran all the way to Afghanistan, Pakistan, and all the way to Nepal and all that thing. So you can see that it's one big stretch, and then in doing so, also he also attacked that part of land which we call it Burma today. As a result, Burma is all blessed with jadeite. The formation jadeite is formed actually about 40 to 50 kilometers in the depth of the soil, and this is what happened. Is where you have the jadeite in the north, the place called Pagan, okay, Pagan, and then you have the Mogul area. This and very famous for ruby sapphire and so on. And it's not just that alone, it also affected Laos and Vietnam. And then that's why the Vietnamese border, this is the Vietnam is a long country anyway. So this border with China, actually the Lokian area. And this Lokian area is where the rubies and sapphires were found, or spinel as well. Okay, they're found in marbles. Okay, in this marble or calcium carbonate rocks that has been fossilized. Okay, so they
Amphu Mountain.
Amphu Mountain is one of them, and of course not just that alone. Then there's Thailand, then all the way to Malaysia and so on. So this is part of a formation, and so how did this eventually come up with this so-called plate tectonic? Is Arthur Holm, his name, Professor Arthur Holm came up with this idea, which cannot even open. So what happened was, the scientists start to discuss, and they start to think about the why is that there is this suture, you know, there's a suture, these are sutures, okay, with lands start to break up, and Australia actually moved east. Okay, this is what Australia nowadays, if you look at the map, is where they are like this, you know. Antarctica went southeast. Okay, and of course Latin America went west. Okay, so this is what happened. So each country, when they split up, you know, they got the trails. And how do scientists know that they actually break up? They actually study all the formation of this rock. They call it mid-ocean ridge. The mid-ocean ridge, they can actually map from the sky, you know, take a satellite picture, and they can literally map where the breakage of this, you know, the whole stretch from Iceland all the way down, the mid-ocean ridge all the way down here, or even up to here, and even right here. this is constantly moving apart. And why is that so? Because there's undersea volcanic eruptions. And this undersea volcanic eruption, when they erupt, the materials are pushed backward. So every year is like centimeter, 2 centimeters away from each other. So literally the land is pushed up, and it's because the upper mantle region where there's a lot of magma churning away. And this churning effect is like boiling hot water, you know. And when the material is being pushed up to the surface and replaced the others, and all this magmatic, or we call it lava, will freeze or will solidify. And in the process of solidification, they take on the magnetic field. Yeah, they take on the magnetic field, and then you can actually map to the point whereby this piece of land and this Africa and Latin America was part of it together. And if you were to trace back the history, based on they call it paleomagnetism. Okay, they can map it and then put it back like jigsaw puzzle again. And back to square one, it's here. We were talking about here. There's the core itself, the core, the earth. And then there's constantly churning away, you know, inside. There's a lot of mechanism that is involved. I cannot explain to you now. And of course, there's a crack in the crustal region or even the mid-ocean ridge, then create volcano undersea volcanoes, creating undersea volcanoes. So you have the land that is moving sideways. This crust itself, it moves sideways. The crust moves sideways. So they do like this, okay? But come out to a point whereby an ocean land collide each other. This is what happened now. In India, it collide with India, creating, there's a Eurasia plate here. India collide with it. Huge mountain, 10 kilometers up in the sky. Okay? So in doing so, there's a lot of mineral. You can see our spots, patches of indicators, symbols, key to symbol. It says that they are rhodonite, they are lapis lazuli, they are amber, they have coral, or coral that is from the sea itself being lifted up 10 kilometers up in the sky. Even fossils. And then people can climb up to the Himalayan mountains and discover fossils. Why? Because they were once on the seabed. Seabed had been brought up to the surface.
My mom found a seashell on top of a mountain in Israel.
Israel. It's possible, you know.
It's possible, yes.
Yeah, so we are human, we are nothing, you know. If you talk about geology, human is like
too young.
Doesn't exist. Time is the factor. A lot of time is a factor. Yeah. So this what happened was the Burma side. Okay, the Burma side was fortunate enough to blessed with so much mineral like jadeite. Then you got the ruby sapphire from Mongol itself. Then you have amber, which is in Central Park. Actually, you can put one dot here, which amber also can be found in the north, next to the jadeite mine. Amber. So the one that I wrote on the geology, and this one I did a paper on was this location where they're found. And how just now Huing was asking me to talk about amber. So the formation of amber, of course, require the trees for it. So you have trees and the tree that grow, and then of course, tree have resins. Yeah, those resins eventually when the tree fell, the resin have been brought down and eventually float in the sea. And eventually been captured by the soil, eventually get buried in the soil. And in doing so, the soil that we are looking at here now, at this location is called Thye. If you look up in the map here, this little square here is actually amplified here, and the location of the mine is this small little cross, you know, the hammer and the pick, okay? Is right on the top, Thye. And this is where they're doing the mining of amber. And some of the amber actually have wormholes and things like that. That means it has been floating around for quite many years, over the years, and eventually been brought down, eventually laid down. See, so the geology of this area is like this. Okay, then the amber has been resins. The resin initially, mainly this resin have been kept inside here, and in doing so, this resin has been compressed. And when you see compressed material, it's like this, like pancake like that, exactly like that. And the surrounding area, the rock itself is actually sedimentary rocks. Those sedimentary rocks are shale. We call it shale. Those sedimentary rocks are shale. And okay, and these are the amber. Initially start with the copper, COPAL. Okay, these are young amber or young resin, young resin. Okay, and more than 1 million years, then they start to the material start to the volatile, volatile compound. They start to get terpenes. One of them is terpenes. They start to dissipate through the soil. So as a result, they become harder and harder. So the age of this material is actually 100 million years.
So copper is softer?
Softer, and then over the next 2-3 million years, but this location where they discovered in Tilling, the location, okay, the geology of this area is sedimentary rocks, okay, sedimentary rocks, okay, and the sedimentary rock by gravels is one of them. They got shales, okay, and of course because they are also shells. The seashells that found inside, this, the shells. Then this ammonites. No, these are clam shell. Some of these clam shells still need to identify anyway. So in this layer of rocks is Cretaceous, okay, and Cretaceous is this age here.
100 million.
Yeah, about 100 million years. 100 million years. There you go. And how the geologists discover is the rocks that you sit on it, and they analyze the rock. And this rock is then tally to the rest of the country, not just by itself. Oh, we know there's 100 million. No, you have to go and tally with the rest of the country. Like for example, you go to a next location, you found a similar type rock, and then if there is no erosion, of course, then it will be better for us to identify the rock as a geologist. Okay, and then they look at the rocks below. What is the rock below? And then from there they dig the rocks. Okay, based on stratigraphy. Okay, this is a big subject, stratigraphy. Okay, stratigraphy. We spend about nearly a year just doing this. Become very rocky. and once the amber is being formed, it takes another couple of million years for it to be solidified, eventually called amber. If an auntie will bring you, can you please see the stone for me? They say it's amber. No, amber it had to be more than a million years old. Okay, to identify this material, we need to do a spectrometer. I got the infrared spectrometer to identify the peak, certain peak that we look for, just like a signature peak, just like I take your passport and see your custom officer check your face. You are Lin, okay, you should be like this, like this, like this, It's the same thing in the rock, is the same thing also. So other than that identification, they take other fossils of plants and insects. And you can see here, you put it up here, worms like this, for example, and insects like this, they will dig them. Which time of the period we have plenty of these are worms, or even insects for that matter. So they will dig them and then eventually classify them according to the international standard of fossil classification. And one famous professor is based in Washington State. His name is Poynter. Okay, Poynter. I'm not too sure about the spelling. Any Poynter. And then there's another chap in New York. I corresponded with him before. So he's working with the American Natural History Museum in New York. This guy is very good also in classification of these fossils and amber of different period. Okay, so Burmese amber, as you can see here, start with a pancake and eventually they break them up. And for us as a gemologist, so what do we need to identify them, whether it's real amber or not amber? We use a spectrometer to identify them, or other than that, we can use UV light. That's just like Queen was showing. Some of this UV light can be quite strong because this is a plastic, so it absorbs most of the UV anyway. Wow. So the UV light shows actually a very strong blue. Okay, this is one of them. But then this is the skin here is actually covered with a lot of organic matter, so you're not going to get the fluorescent effect. Okay, this is, you can see the fluorescence effect. So it's another fluorescent effect. So this pieces of amber, like my friend here, Ujojo, he followed me, he guided me, plus this Koi and all the people. We went into that area. Actually, when we went to that area, I brought my wife along, Serena, my wife. We went to a forest fire. There was a bamboo forest fire going on. And he said, why do you have to come all the way? I said, yeah, this is geological field. Please don't bring me there anymore. It's horrible. On a motorbike some more. And the motorbike is not a high cc, it's a 60 cc. It's a small little ratty one. And when we pass through the fire, she can tell you the story on that one. I give this lecture to the Geological Association of Australia, way back in Brisbane. Much longer one. Rather than here, I just pull out from my head. So the amber that you found here is one of the oldest in the world, from 100 million years. The one that is produced 90% of the world amber, the one that produced 90% of the world amber actually comes from this location, from Baltic. Okay, from this region here, this area. And the Russian have it, or actually the Russian have it, is called Samarkand, okay, this region. And I was there for the Lithuania conference, so we were standing at the border looking across into the Russian territory where 90% of amber are dug up, okay? And the age of the amber is about 20 million years old, much younger than Burma. Burma is one of the oldest, and the other oldest place is in Japan anyway. Yeah. Okay. So Burma is blessed for the last 2,000 years. Has been producing amber for China. 2,000 years. So a lot of Chinese are actually extracting amber way back then. The Burmese people are extracting amber and sell it to China, and China people do carving, make into carvings and all that. They use by the quartz. And if you were to burn the amber, normally it would tend to have a fragrance called the what do you call it?
Pine.
It smells like pine. Pine tree.
Turbans.
Yeah. They make lacquer from this material itself. Yeah. Okay.
How cool is it?
Yeah. So that's it, no?
So actually, there's one thing about this one that this one.
Yeah.
Remember you talked about how this particular piece.
Oh, okay. This
with
piece.
that little gap there.
This amber is actually two stages of formation. The first formation was the white one. Come and take a look and see. The first formation was the white patch, and then in the process, during the process of solidification, the white patch broke off.
Oh, the white.
Then there's another new amber just came in and squeezed between, and it opened up the gap between the white and the. You can see the white one. You can see that the white patch here, and there's a gap between, and then this is the first stage was the white one. Then followed by the brown one, which is it crack open the thing. So the two stages of amber formation. Okay, and the reason for this white one is because scientists discover there are more than millions of tiny gas bubbles to create this white amber. Okay, and the white amber is more expensive than the rest of any other things. So anyway, secret.
Okay.
So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.